What is up, everybody? Coach Juma here, and today we're going to be breaking down why cheat meals are the worst thing that you can include in your diet. And it's not because of the foods you eat in your cheat meals, but because it's going to absolutely destroy your long-term weight loss goals, mostly because of the psychological and emotional impacts that it has for you down the line. Now, before we get into it, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, comment, do all the things. Click all the links in the bio, do all that stuff before we get going. I know I've been gone for a little bit, and this is the first video after I think like 5 or 6 weeks. That's our fault. Schedules, it's summer, we were traveling. Last week we actually recorded this episode,
and made this exact speech.
But the microphone settings were off. We didn't find out until he started editing.
It kind of sounded like this.
What is up, everybody? Coach Juma. Yeah, so we didn't want to just put out a bad video. We wanted to make a good video for you guys. So here we are, recording this a second time, just for you, to make sure you got good content. And if you want to show gratefulness for us, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. And then if you have any questions about this, comment them down below, because I'm always happy to help out. Without further ado, let's get into why cheat meals should be avoided and should not be a part of your diet at all or ever again in the future. So for those of you unfamiliar, what is a cheat meal? There's usually two approaches that people take when cheating on their diet. It's one cheat meal where any time in the week they get to eat whatever they want. It's untracked foods. They make up their meal with foods that they normally don't have in their diet. Burgers, pizza, chips, ice cream, all these things. They set one meal aside in the week, or a couple of them in the week, that is dedicated to only eating these foods. On the flip side, there's people that have full cheat days where the entire day is dedicated to only having these foods. Their diet during the week is healthy. They eat salads, they have vegetables, they have grilled meats, things like that. But one cheat day a week, they will eat anything they want. All the things that they weren't able to have during the week are free game on this day. The concept of cheat meals or cheat days implies a lot of dangerous ideas. It implies, one, that your diet can only be made up of healthy foods to lose weight, which isn't true, right? We know that not to be true by fact, because the most important thing is a calorie deficit. And this was proven most famously by Mark Hubb, who ate Twinkies for 2 months while in a calorie deficit and lost 20 pounds. You don't need to eat healthy to lose weight. It's all about calories. So this implication is false. It implies that some foods are bad to have, so bad that they're basically illegal, right? If you're cheating the system, cheating on your test, cheating the law, right? You're doing something that isn't allowed. So these foods are not allowed, which is false as well, right? As we mentioned earlier, you could have these foods and lose weight. But also, no food is better per se than another food. They have different nutritional values, different caloric densities, but no one food is bad all the time, 100% in every context. And beyond that, it also implies whenever you do have these foods, burgers, fries, pizza, desserts, chips, salty foods, all that stuff, you should feel guilty for having them. Because anytime you cheat, you should feel bad about cheating because it's not allowed to cheat. Further on down the line, anytime you have these foods, you can't even fully enjoy them the way you want to enjoy them because of that. So all these implications aren't true, right? We've explained why they're not true, but they create a lot of problems in the short term and in the long term for your diet, for your mental health and your emotional health. Because of the restrictive nature of cheat meals, where you have a green light to eat these foods only at specific times, you want to take full advantage of it. Because these foods are on such a high pedestal for you, what happens a majority of the time is you end up overeating these foods and having way more than you should. In the short term, this harms your weight loss goals because you could be at a calorie deficit the entire week, but then on the one day you have a cheat meal or the one day you have a cheat day, you're going to go overboard in your calories because you're going to eat so much of those foods. And they're already very high calorie dense foods. It doesn't take a lot to go overboard with them. That will put you out of a calorie deficit for a week. And you can continue eating healthy 6 days a week for months. But if you keep having that one cheat day where you go way overboard at any point in time, you're never going to be in a calorie deficit long enough to see good progress in the short term. In the long term, you'll always struggle with moderation. You'll never be able to enjoy one slice of pizza because at cheat days and cheat meals, you have 4 or 5 slices of pizza. And that's what it takes for you to be satiated. That's what it takes for you to fully enjoy and immerse yourself in the pizza. Whereas someone that understands moderation can have one slice of pizza and enjoy it fully, and sometimes even more than the person that has 5, 6 slices of pizza. And not only that, as we mentioned earlier, you're going to struggle emotionally around these types of foods. Whether it's not feeling like you have control when you're around these foods, or anytime that you feel guilty, you turn to these foods to feel more guilty, or after eating all these foods, again, you don't enjoy them fully because you feel bad for having them, because you shouldn't have them, because of the behavior. I did a lot of becauses there. Big chain effect. Because you've seen this as such a bad food for so long, right? As something you shouldn't have. In the long term, you'll never truly have balance with your eating habits, and you'll never be able to maintain the weight loss because you're always going to be struggling around these foods. You never knew how to incorporate them into your diet. So after the diet's done, if you were to be successful in your weight loss following this approach, you're sure to gain the weight back. You're not going to be able to maintain that weight loss because now that you have the green light all the time to have these foods, you don't know how to control yourself because you never learned how to while dieting in the first place. You can't have long-term sustainable weight loss following the cheat day, cheat meal model. And you can't enjoy the foods you like following this model either, because you'll always feel bad after doing it. You'll always feel stuffed after doing it. You'll have really low energy after doing it. And just, for lack of a better terms, be really down on yourself for making these decisions. So a better way to follow your diet and to include the foods you like while still making weight loss progress or maintaining weight loss progress is by always allowing access to any food at all times, knowing what you want and when you want it, and knowing when enough is enough. And this is how we like to coach at Stupid Fit. We want our diet to look as similar to the diet after the diet as possible. We don't want to restrict any food choices. No foods are ever off limits unless you're allergic to them, they cause you digestive distress, or you don't want them, right? And we'll go into wants in a little bit. But when you can lose weight while eating these foods, you know how to maintain weight while eating these foods. It's a given because you've been practicing it for so long. When you have these foods, because there's always a green light for them, you don't need as much to enjoy them or feel satisfied by them, right? You're okay with having less because you have more free access to them. It's kind of like when you're a teenager driving for the first time. You will drive anywhere you want just because you're finally able to drive. Or maybe you don't have access to a car all the time like you normally do. Teenagers don't have reliable transportation. So whenever you do have an opportunity to take the car to drive, you're taking it even if you don't know where you're going, right? And it's the same idea with cheat meals. If you don't know when the next time you're having this food is, if you don't always have the green light to do this whenever you want, you're going to go overboard with this. You're going to take full advantage of that opportunity and have as much of it as you can. Whereas when you're an adult and you have your own car and you could drive anywhere you want, you don't really drive anytime you want to or drive just for fun anymore. You drive when you need to. You drive when you have to go somewhere. You drive when you need to get something, right? There's more purpose behind the action. The same idea applies by giving yourself the green light to have these foods whenever you want. You will actually enjoy it more because you know when you want them, as opposed to thinking that you're going to be missing out by not having them. When can you know to have these foods, right? It starts with understanding what you want. Is an interesting thing because you will think you want something when really you just like the idea of something or it's convenient for you. This is really common. A really easy example is around Halloween time. You always have a bowl of candy present when it's close to Halloween time. And whenever you walk by, you're tempted to have a piece of candy, right? So you likely grab one. You don't actually want one. You just have one because it's there, because it's within arm's reach. But if it wasn't there, would you have a desire to have that candy? So you need to understand what it's like to actually have that desire, to have a craving for this specific food, and that no other food can satisfy this craving for you. It's not like you're hungry and you want to have a burger just because you drove by. If you weren't hungry, you wouldn't want a burger. But maybe you ate an entire meal, right? You're satisfied, but you still have a craving for a burger. That's when you actually want a burger. When nothing you eat or nothing that is around you can satisfy the craving that you have or the desire for that thing. Knowing when you want things is going to be really important. And this takes a lot of time to master. It's a skill. It's not something that everyone knows inherently. It's something that a lot of us have unlearned actually just through normal everyday behaviors. Getting back in tune with your body and understanding when it is you want things, how it is you want things. Once you do want them, actually having them is going to be really key in this process. So in dieting, we want to eat as healthy as possible, as often as possible. But of course, you know, there's nothing wrong with having a burger. There's nothing wrong with having pizza as long as you know you actually want it. Once you do have it, after wanting it, you want to make sure that you're eating enough. You don't want to overdo it or overconsume. And you don't want to feel terrible after eating it because you had so much. In our culture, in Western society, we're very much more is better, but that's not always the case. There's a phrase I like to use with my clients that struggle with overeating, where I say enough is as good as a feast. If you're at a buffet and you have access to everything around you, just having everything and having 10 plates of everything just because you can doesn't make it better for you. If you grew up with really frugal parents, they'll tell you eat as much as you can, right? Which is not a great behavior to kind of go through because you never gain the awareness to know when enough actually is enough for you, right? You don't need more to be satisfied. You just need enough to be satisfied. If you left the buffet having eaten one plate of food, but you ate all your favorite foods and you ate to contentment, you had an even better time than the person that ate 10 plates of everything. And that's how you want to approach the situation. when you're having the food that you want, or having the foods that you normally label as bad or unhealthy or fattening, right? You want to enjoy it. The purpose of having it is to enjoy it, right? These aren't foods that are serving a major purpose in your body. Like eating ice cream isn't going to make you bigger, faster, stronger, or improve your sleep or anything like that, but it tastes good. You want to have it because it tastes good. You can enjoy the first bite just as much as you can enjoy the 10th bite, but you have to be present in your meal while you're eating, and you have to take the time to truly be there, taste the ice cream while it's in your mouth. You have to feel the chews and really embrace the eating experience while you're eating, as opposed to mindlessly eating as much as you can and trying to keep the taste in your mouth as long as possible. Savor the taste while it's there, and you're able to have enough without needing more.
Have you mastered them?
That's actually a great point you brought up. He said, did I master that? In case they can't hear it. It's something I'm definitely better at than I was before. I used to be one of those people that always has to finish what's on their plate. Right? It's partly because of how I was raised. It's an old behavior I had to rewire. But now, if I don't want something, I don't have it. If I eat half the plate and I feel good, content, then I'm done. You know, I don't need to eat more. I can have the rest later. These are the little habits that you do in your meals throughout the day, throughout the week, that really add up to a healthier relationship with food, to better energy, to a better mood, to a better body as well, that don't get talked about enough. And again, this is something that takes time. It's a skill that needs to be learned and honed in, and likely you need to unwire and unlearn old habits and skills that led you to this point. It's not something that you're gonna master just because you watched this video. You might need to re-reference this video a number of times to remember what it is you need to do. The goal is to go through that kind of 3-step process that we laid out. Make sure no foods are off limits unless they cause you harm. Have the foods when you actually want the foods, not because they're convenient or because it's there for you. Have them when you actually want them, and recognize what it means to want those foods. And then after wanting them and having it in front of you, know when enough is enough. Control and practice portion control and enjoying food without needing more food to enjoy it. So that breaks down why cheat meals suck and what you can do instead. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope this really changes how you approach your diet and every meal going forward. If you did find this helpful, again, make sure to like it, make sure to comment what you found most helpful about it, and share this with a friend that would also find this helpful. But until next time, stay stupid.